Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for joining me today. Today I am sharing a few easy fall cards using the Hedgehog Hollow August box. And so mainly I'm using a lot of the ephemera that came in that box. And so for this first card, I am going to go ahead and grab a few pieces of the ephemera that I think I'm going to use, as well as a die from my stash, a piece of hammermill cardstock, and then I grabbed a few pieces of pattern paper from my stash as well. And I'm going to take this first piece, which kind of looks like, I guess you would call it a shiplap or wood planks or something like that. And I'm going to adhere that to a piece of cardstock. And so I'm just using that hammermill cardstock and adding some tape runner to it. And then I'm going to adhere that. And then I'll just grab my, I am at a loss for words today, my trimmer, my paper trimmer, and trim off the excess that goes over the side. And then I'm going to grab my die and run that other piece of pattern paper with the die through the die cut machine. And the die cuts out two pieces, so it has like the scallop border piece and then the solid piece in the middle. And I was trying to decide which piece to add in the middle, and I decided to go ahead and use the main piece of the pattern paper for the middle, and then I went ahead and used that same die with another piece of white cardstock. And just to knock out a little bit of that white, I am taking a Distress ink cube in antique linen and just swiping a lot along the outside so that it matches a little better with those kind of off-white spots in that pattern paper. And I'm also taking the ink cube and just swiping it along each of the lines of the pattern paper, as well as just some extra like distressing around the card or the panel. And then I will go ahead and take my liquid glue and adhere that frame piece to the card panel, as well as adhering that middle piece. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take my different ephemera pieces and glue them down. And then the little morning pumpkin coffee cup or mocha cup or pumpkin something cup, I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape to that and layer that over my flower pieces. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Sparkle Star Twinkles, and this is really pretty sparkly stuff that I added to kind of the foam in that cup. I also added a few enamel dots, and that will finish off this first card. So this one is super quick and easy. I was going to add a sentiment to this, but decided that the morning pumpkin would be enough, and I think it holds its own. For this next card, I am using some of the ephemera again, and I'm going to use some Catherine Pooler inks in Twilight, Meant to Be, and Orange Peel. And I picked those colors based on the colors of the ephemera. I wanted them to match. And then I'm going to take the layering stencil that came in this box, and I will be using all of those pieces of the layering stencil. But first, to keep my paper from moving, I'm just going to add a little strip of adhesive and adhere that to my mat. And then for the stencils, I have marked on the bottom right-hand corner with a Sharpie just a dot so that I know what the orientation of the stencil is, so that I get these lined up perfectly. And then I'm just going to add a piece of temporary tape to the top to keep that stencil in place. And then I'm going to go through and just blend these colors together. So for the first set, or the first stencil, I'm using the Meant to Be. And then I will remove that stencil and then add the next stencil, making sure to keep that dot as my guide and put that in the bottom right-hand corner, as well as lining up the stencil with my paper. And then so I'm going to take the Twilight and blend a little bit of ink for the acorns, and then the orange peel I am going to add on those other leaves. And then I'm going to grab the third stencil and again line that up with my paper, as well as make sure the orientation is correct with that dot in the bottom right-hand corner. And this one's really easy to kind of line up because you've got the acorn tops that are included in this, and so you just line those up with the acorn bottoms that have already been blended. And then for these leaves, I'm taking a little bit of the Meant to Be and the orange peel together, and then I'm using the Twilight, just putting a little bit more pressure to add that darker color on the top of those acorns. And then I'm going to take the Twilight again and add a little bit to my mat and spritz it with some water to add a little bit of ink splatter. So go ahead and splatter that on the card. And then the pieces of ephemera that I'm using, I was going to use this heart and I decided against it. I think it just made it look a little too crowded. But I did cut out the white border that was around the pumpkins. I just thought it looked better without having that white border around it. And I'll go ahead and adhere those pieces and then add a little bit of foam to the back of the sentiment that says Happy Fall. And then I will add some embellishments in some jewels and a enamel dot, and that will finish off this card. So these are both super quick and easy cards. It's a great thing about ephemera is that you can really just grab some pattern paper or stencils or whatever you have and add some ephemera to the card, and it's good to go. So I hope you liked this video. If you did like it or find it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.